Welcome everyone. My name is Nick, also known as the IPP guy, and this is the IPP Education Hub. If you've come here wondering how long does an IPP last, then you've come to the right place. Whether you are considering an IPP implant for yourself or you are partnering somebody through their own IPP journey, let's get into it so that you have some answers that you need. So I've talked before about how great the IPP is and all of the benefits. I guess it's important to talk about one thing, a consideration to keep in mind, if nothing else, and that is the longevity and lifespan of your IPP device. The great news is that IPP technology has come a long way. And so just a handful of years ago, IPP devices didn't necessarily have the longevity that made them a viable consideration for men who were dealing with ED. However, most IPP devices these days will boast that they have a lifespan of at least a decade, and many will say that they can last 15 years or upward. Now, I'm a positive thinker, and so I'm hoping for the best for mine, just because I don't necessarily like getting surgery. But I can tell you that I've talked to men who have had various experiences with their IPP and how long it lasted for them. I've talked to some men who have told me that they still have the same device that they've had for many years. And I've talked to other men who say that they get enough use out of their device to where they have to replace it every couple of years. And so no matter where you are on that spectrum, just know that if something does happen to your device, then you're not out of options. And as always, there are solutions to consider. But for the most part, if you are caring for your device properly, which just means making sure that you're pumping it up at least once a week, and maybe you're even considering going in to check in with your urologist on a regular basis, then most IPP manufacturers will tell you that it should last at least a decade. And so while the technology maybe isn't quite there to where these are lifetime devices, I personally felt like the time that I would get out of the device would be well worth it, especially if I had to consider getting another procedure in a certain amount of time. And I can say that I feel confident with that decision. So if you found your way to this video because you're curious to know how long your IPP is likely to last, I hope you can feel some confidence knowing that it should last at least a decade. Keep in mind that everybody is different and everybody will have different responses, but in most cases, that time period is something that you should expect. It's understandable that if you're considering an IPP, you want to know when you might have to consider another surgery. After all, for some people, just the idea of the first surgery is enough of a hurdle to try and get past. And so to kind of understand that you might have to consider another surgery at some point in life is something to keep in mind. But on this side of things, I can attest that for me, I feel like it's worth it. So while I by no means look forward to the idea of having surgery, I know that it's part of the process and something that I have to accept in step with the fact that I have an IPP and this is part of my life. And so if you already have an IPP, I would advocate to get as much use out of it as you can and to enjoy it while it works. And if you are considering it and you're wondering how long it might last, then please feel comfortable knowing that you might have to get a secondary IPP surgery, but as this technology and information becomes more and more common, personally, I hope that the medical advancements are even better the next time that I need to get an IPP surgery, and I hope that you can feel comfortable as well. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also turn on notifications so that you stay in the loop every single time I come out with a new video here at the IPP Education Hub. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others.